Before we get to what's happening in Newark right now, what's happened over the last couple of years, I'm intrigued by what relationship do you think New York City has in the Newark story? What tangible effect do you think that this city, so close,
It's tough for
has?
New York to be in our shadow. I think that's the most difficult thing. And
Did I lob that
yes,
in?
you did. You did. You're going to walk into a future.
30 miles an hour.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Look, first of all, more than ever, I think we're waking up in America to the understanding that we have this interwoven destinies, and that the story of America is more now less a story of the Declaration of Independence to an understanding of a declaration of interdependence, that we need each other. Mm-hmm. And so this region, as much as it's dominated by this capital of the global marketplace that New York is, it really is interwoven in many ways, whether it's New Jersey feeding New York every day as commuters come through bridges and tunnels, whether it's investment ideas. It's one sort of larger college town. We actually have NYU students that live in dorms in Newark. So the connections and the ties are getting deeper and deeper. And for us, it's a tremendous competitive advantage that was never leveraged. And we now are starting to see ways to build upon our proximity to New York to drive everything from our real estate market all the way to investments in terms of businesses and companies.
Tell us about some of the people in Newark who are doing it, who are making things better.
I mean, so this, Emerson, if I can paraphrase him, he said, "That only what you have within can you see without. If you see no angels, it's because you harbor none." And so I have a spiritual view of the world that everything that comes into my life is coming there for a purpose. Now, whether it's true or not, we don't know, but if you take a closer look at folks or things or people and see them as a reflection of divinity, you're going to discover heroes all around you. Mm-hmm. So my staff knows this. I love finding people that are heroic in ways that you and I might not ordinarily see. So my staff came across a guy, we call him in my office Lawnmower Man. And now he's not Jeffrey Canada, he's not leading some great organization, but Lawnmower Man, and I don't mean that derisively, actually he's a guy that I have so much reverence for, was a retired government worker who lived in a building on Elizabeth Avenue in Newark, across from Weequahic Park, which was designed by Fred Olmsted. And he saw drug dealers on his corner hanging out by an abandoned lot that just looked really ugly. And he kept looking at that lot, and then one day he gets a check in the mail, a stimulus check that the Bush administration gave, and he went out and bought a lawnmower and a weed whacker, and went out there and mowed the lawn because he didn't like what he saw. Mm-hmm. He didn't really realize that was where the drug dealers were using to hide their stash. So his neighbors told me the next thing they know, there were drug dealers ripping open these bags that he had lined up trying to find their stash. But he just started to keep maintaining the lot. Mm-hmm. And eventually the drug dealers just left. And then he looked across the street along the median along Weequahic Park and didn't like what he saw there either. So he started mowing all the way up and down. Elizabeth Avenue is a long street, but a long swath of that street, he started mowing and weed whacking and sweeping. And so that my staff sort of discovered him one day on the side of the street mowing the lawn and said, "Sir, what are you doing? And are you a county worker?" He goes, "No." "Are you a city worker?" "No." And he goes, "I live across the street. I'm retired. I looked out my window. I didn't like what I saw, and basically saying that this street belongs to me as much as it does you." So there are so many people in Newark that are heroic to me, that sustain me, whose levels of courage and commitment and sacrifice I could never hope to meet, but I will strive to meet it, that are what makes our city so strong. And so this is the problem with America, I think, often in my generation, and I worry more about my generation than ones before, because I think we're at a precarious space. And I remember my father and one of my more poignant moments with a father who's a very funny character, and my father has is a tremendous sense of humor, and often how he instructed me growing up was through humor. And he grew up to a single mother, very poor. He says, "Son, I wasn't poor. I couldn't afford to be poor. I was just P-O. I couldn't afford the other two letters." And one day, when I was living in some high-rise projects in Newark, he's looking out his window, and he turns to me. He says, "Cory, I really worry that we've come to a point in our country where a kid born under my same circumstances, poor, to a single mother who couldn't take care of him, that was raised by the community. My father was taken in by a funeral home director. That a kid under my same environment, that in my generation we would have better life chances than they would today." Mm-hmm. And it was so chilling to me that I look at my father and I'm just swearing inside of my body that it's not on my watch. I'm not going to let this happen. So the problem that we often have in America is we think that this country is a sort of a spectator sport, and democracy is not a spectator sport. It's a full contact participatory endeavor. And with the gravity of the problem sometimes, we begin to let our inability to do everything undermine our determination to just do something. And the people that just get up every day and do those small acts of kindness, of decency, of love, above and beyond what's expected of them, those are the people that over their lifetimes sustain neighborhoods, drive change, and create strong cities. And that's what we need. We don't need to wait for the next, Barack Obama is going to save us and save our country. Let's make sure we get a great governor in office or a great mayor. Change has rarely come from sort of, in America, the kind of change that has inspired me through my studies and sort of examination of American history. Change usually is driven from the grassroots, and that's what I try to choose to celebrate in our city most of all, and that's what I think is making the change in Newark right now more than their mayor.
You were offered a job in the Obama administration?
Yeah, they don't really offer jobs and give you a chance to say no. So they will walk you all the way and say, so if we offered you this job, what would you say?
Do they call you?
Nobody says no to the President of the United States.
Email you? Come on down to Washington.
It started very low of people feeling me out and went all the way up to pretty much the top,
right.
Before you would get to the president, in a very flattering way saying to me, would you be willing to take one of these few positions? And my response to them is, I think that what our president needs is leaders in the field that can show that his philosophy of leadership and the things he's going to do on the federal level can really be implemented on a local level. And I think that I could serve the president best by staying where I am. And they were very good in accepting that. And as a result, I've had a great relationship with the White House. They've called me down a couple of times to learn from some of the things that we're doing that have been successful. And I feel very blessed to have a White House that's so accessible to me and the residents of the city of Newark.
Was it a close call at all, or was it a slam dunk right from the get-go?
Yeah, not at all. I'm really in this for a purpose and not a position. And it's been very easy to say no to jobs that don't resonate with my sense of purpose. And I'm in the right job at the right time that's doing what I really believe I want to do with my life, at least for the next 5 years.
I've read that the book, The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson in 1933 is an important book to you.
Yeah, well...
Why is that? And what can you tell us about the book why is it important to you?
I mean, there's so many reasons it's important to me. Look, my parents were very concerned about raising their kids in a environment where there was no other African Americans in their classrooms,
right.
As teachers, and they knew what the subtle pernicious power of race-based thinking, and they were very smart in that way. And so I got fed as a kid a very steady diet of books and culture and things that they thought would help keep me grounded and help develop my sense of who I am. And that was a very powerful book reading as a teenager about understanding my own psychology and not just for African Americans. I think it's a book that it should be widely read. And, but it was a book that really just kept me grounded in understanding and having my own sense of pride, but more importantly, understanding how to set up a defense in this world, which I think we all need to do, that filters out the bigotries, the sexisms, the homophobia that often could cut at the core of our being, that we all experience because in some way we all are different in some way. So my parents were just wonderful in fighting to give me a groundedness in who I am and let me understand that this world in so many ways is going to try to make you something you're not. The world has a very powerful leveling forces, and if you don't fit perfectly into that level, to make you feel ashamed of your difference. And my parents wanted me to be proud of who I am, to have an understanding of a richness of my cultural heritage, whether it's my Christian roots, my Black Christian roots, my African Americanness, or what have you. And that way, open myself up to not only loving myself, but that's a precursor really to having a greater love for others.
There are so many people in the world of public discourse who are dragging us down these days, and then there are those who are inspiring us, who make me believe that my 6.5-year-old daughter at home, that it will be a better world, that there are people that they can look to who will make us dream. So thank you for that. It's been a memorable night for me. I hope for you as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.